When I was 25, I learned I had glaucoma, and with standard treatment, I would be blind in my 40s. That day, I started on my mission to prevent and heal blinding eye diseases. In this video, I'll share exactly how I went from a glaucoma diagnosis at 25, when I was told blindness was inevitable with conventional care, to still having perfect vision 45 years later. And I'd love to teach you the whole process. Right now, I'll walk you through the three main pillars of my recovery so you can understand what's possible for your own health. When I was diagnosed with glaucoma, I was in my final year of training to be an eye doctor. I was the top student at the top school for vision rehabilitation, and I was serving as president of the International Association, representing thousands of student doctors. I knew my career would involve rehabilitation of conditions like stroke and head trauma, but I didn't expect I'd be involved in degenerative conditions like glaucoma or macular degeneration, because we were told they are irreversible and the only treatments we knew were drugs and surgery, which were not my interest. The ophthalmology professor explained that standard treatments might slow down my vision loss, but at most I would have about 25 years before I would be blind. That's when he recommended what no other patient would be told. Knowing my science background from Dartmouth and my dedication to vision rehabilitation by natural means, he privately whispered that I should do my own research on the root causes of blindness and treat those. That has defined my life for the past 43 years. At the most foundational level, I learned that the body is designed to heal itself, and it is innately intelligent, prioritizing its healing activities sequentially and able to identify and respond in an instant to the presence of a stress or a healing stimulus in its field. That realization led me to dig into the science. And what I discovered about the root causes of blindness changed everything. The eyes don't get sick in a healthy body, and they don't heal in a sick body. I learned that in Oriental medicine, the meridians, the electrical circuits that regulate and detoxify the connective tissue where every cell lives, are all connected directly to the body's two most energetic organs, the heart and the eyes. I learned how to measure and balance the energies of all the meridians. I learned how to identify the stress sources that the body was actively engaged in trying to heal, and then to identify the precise elements from nature, nutrients, herbs, energetic stimuli, that allowed the body to complete those healing processes many times faster. I saw how this changed everything. Chronic degenerative conditions healed. Lost vision was sometimes restored in cases the textbooks claimed to be irreversible, even to this day. Reversing glaucoma wasn't just about treating the diagnosis. It was about removing and healing all the root causes, layer by layer, so it would never come back. For many years, I checked regularly to see what natural remedies would keep all my systems healing at top speed. My program was updated at least once a month. I still check periodically to update my remedies as needed, for example, with the change of seasons or when a symptom arises. I learned how the way we deal with symptoms and the conditions right from the start is key. The difference between supporting the body to heal faster versus trying to stop a symptom by suppressive treatments makes all the difference in our future health trajectory. In my first 3 years of learning and applying the methods of accelerated self-healing, I reduced my biological age from 68 down to 33. If I hadn't, I was at over 99% risk of death before I hit 40. Now I continue to be in awe of the body's capacity to heal all kinds of health issues. I see results that we thought were impossible until we started listening to the wisdom of the body and giving it what it was looking for from nature's pharmacy. Let's talk a little about glaucoma and common natural solutions you'll find online, and I'll add some comments along the way. They say the glaucoma's cause is increased pressure inside the eye, intraocular pressure we call it, often due to poor circulation and drainage, which can damage the optic nerve. Well, the problem with only looking online for your answers is you're going to get the common superficial answers that everyone repeats, because the large language models are just trained to say what's the most likely thing that people will say. That even doctors, when they're surveyed, doctors define glaucoma as increased intraocular pressure. Well, it's understandable. It's what's focused on when we learn about glaucoma in school. The problem is it's not true. Here's the problem. Most people with glaucoma have normal or low tension glaucoma. They don't have high intraocular pressure. And here's the flip side of the problem. Most people with high intraocular pressure have ocular hypertension, not glaucoma. While there's an association, it's a factor, especially when the pressures go real high, like 30 and higher. We all agree the consensus is there's damage. There's probably damage happening when the pressure's that high. Still probably, we can measure the damage if it's happening, but damage can be happening at low pressures. The real issues, the underlying causes that cut across the high and the low pressure glaucoma are stress. That means endocrine dysfunction and immune dysfunction. So the immune system and the endocrine hormonal system are stressed, they're out of whack. We need to get those functions in balance. We don't heal and cure disease by attacking disease. Like even if the pressure is high, if all we do is manipulate the pressure with drugs that artificially lower the pressure, but don't solve the reason the body's making that high pressure, think of it like hypertension, in the blood. Yeah, drugs can lower blood pressure. Does that mean they made you healthy? No. Why was it high? It doesn't address that, does it? The reason it's high is the body's toxic. It's acidic. The blood gets thick. The heart has to pump harder and make a higher pressure to try to filter and clean that blood through the kidneys. So it's the same kind of issue in the eye on a microcosm of the macrocosm of the body, of fluid dynamic. If your body's too acidic and toxic, the fluids get thicker. They don't flow as easily. The immune system is making inflammation, which is at the root of most chronic degenerative diseases, but it's the immune system. It's intelligent. It's making inflammation. Why? What's the function of inflammation? It's to dissolve things that don't belong there. So it's having a hard time doing that and getting the job done and moving on to the next thing and getting back to a non-inflamed state. It's stuck in chronic inflammation because it's trying to move something that's hard, something like heavy metals that are hard to move. Toxins like mercury, heavy metal that deranges the immune system, so it's not working as efficiently. We need immune modulators, something like an immune modulation formula that I put together that has dozens of different, primarily herbs and nutrients, phytonutritional complexes that cover all the different key nutrients and phytonutrients that in different people with that same issue, so one or another or several of them are going to work in almost all cases to modulate the immune system, to make it work more efficiently with less inflammation and get the job done faster, easier, better, less damage to the body. The same with the endocrine system. The endocrine system, when we're under stress, we have stress responses for a reason, right? Because there's a problem and we're trying to solve that problem and get it done. Problem with modern life is we have chronic stresses, the job every day, relationships, worrying about the environment, worrying about whatever it is we worry about, keeping us in chronic stress. Well, it turns out that the intraocular pressure, for example, is primarily regulated by hormones. Daytime, it's adrenal hormones, and nighttime, it's pineal hormones. So we need to get our day-night cycle back in order, in harmony, so the brain and the eye can cleanse toxins efficiently and not elevate the pressure to try to push out toxins that are hard to move. So this is kind of thinking we need to change our model, what I call the clinical theory of everything. And it's a theory based on solving the big problems that science is having a hard time with, from consciousness. It's very important for healing because it's consciousness, the minerals of consciousness, the spirit minerals, I call them, that are running the show, processing the information at millions of bits a second on a whole body level, where what we call the active consciousness of the mind of thinking, which is where a lot of the stress comes from, is only about 120 bits a second. We need to get the conscious mind, 120 bits a second, plugged into the millions of bits a second processing of what the body already knows. But you have to speak the same language. So we have a translator for you. I'd love to teach you the whole system, get you on board where you can use this for yourself, your family, friends, and hopefully, if you're looking for a new line of work to help people, become a coach, get certified as a coach with us. And if you're a health practitioner already, we'll get you certified and get you listed as one of the practitioners, whatever your specialty is, that's applying the clinical theory of everything and accelerated self-healing as a proven process to reverse irreversible conditions, help people heal themselves of whatever the chronic degenerative illness is or whatever the health problems are. We're going to ask the body because it knows. In an extreme case where a new stress happens, it might take a half hour of just relaxing, having a glass of water and breathing before the body can process and figure out, okay, here's what we're going to do about all this. The body's intelligent. It's self-healing, self-regulating. The idea of putting in something that's going to change it from the outside without even first looking at the dynamics of that system, that self-regulating complex set of feedback loops that we call physiology and homeostasis, is absurd. The reason that Americans are less healthy than any other people, even though we're having more of those inputs we spend on our healthcare, that's disease management, not healing, and using synthetic chemicals that are toxins that have side effects that are direct toxic effects, and last resort doing surgery where we admit failure and we have to go in and cut and paste the system. So the body can heal itself. If you have a strong intuition that that's possible and you're looking for the way to do that, you've come to the right place. Hope to talk to you soon. Aloha.